Let's talk about Homa Bay for a while now. The Homa Bay by-election 2 days away, and it's been quite a vibrant race. We had the debate on Friday, got to hear from the candidates. But now more allegations still coming through on rigging. We had the former Prime Minister addressing the same issue, saying that IEBC needs to look more into this. But also what's more concerning is the spangas and bullets that were recovered in a hotel room in Homa Bay. So you have an electorate going to the ballot on Thursday, but amid all these claims, allegations and concerns, what do you make of this particular race, and as far as the sanctity even of the vote is concerned, that you're going in but not sure that at the end of the day how you cast and how everybody else casts their vote is what will be translated at the end when the results are announced? Chairman.
Yeah, I think what I would say about Homa Bay, the first thing I would say about Homa Bay is I think Homa Bay in a sense reflects what has been going on, the violence and what often appears to be a contempt and disregard for the normal democratic process and respect for differing opinion. Unfortunately, it is a reflection of a much bigger problem that we have in this country. And I think if we focus just on Homa Bay and the incidents of Homa Bay and view them as unique to this particular by-election, we will miss the point. The truth is that politics in this country and the political class has accepted and indeed perfected violence, both verbal and physical, as a legitimate weapon to carry out politics, even in situations that are not overtly political. I mean, you go to a funeral and you find violent language. You go to a public meeting and you find people expressing themselves violently. I dare say, by the way, Senator, to date, I am still traumatized in what happened in the National Assembly when that debate was going on about the security laws. What's its relevance to this? I mean, if Kenyans in Homa Bay or elsewhere can see that sort of behavior, that sort of violence, that sort of free-for-all as a legitimate way of political expression, is it little wonder that we see what we have been seeing in the last few weeks? So for me, it's really not so much a problem of the laws. It's not. I don't think it's a problem of IEBC. Notwithstanding that IEBC obviously has a constitutional responsibility, and they have a responsibility to take hard decisions in order to ensure that the Constitution and the law are complied with. But I don't think that's where the problem is. The problem is with the political culture, and in that negative political culture, I have to say that our political leaders have been leading from the front, and that's sad.
Okay, Ambrose Weda,
yes.
Do you agree that this is a cancer that we almost expect to see violence with politics at every level? And just like Bwana Chairman is saying, if the Mwananchi sees this is what happens, in the highest offices, is this something we should expect? And even with elections coming in, do we expect them to be fair? Especially given that there's suspicion right from the word go. I mean, last week I think there was accusations of one of the senior IEBC officials spotted in one of the candidates' cars. Alleged that she was in one of the cars. So should we just, as Kenyans, accept that when there is elections, we are bound to see foul play?
First of all, let me assure, I think that there will be no foul play in Homa Bay.
What makes you so confident?
There will be none. Take it from me. It's only that...
Despite all these things that we're seeing happening...
You need to substantiate.
I said on this bench that, first of all, the ODM would not like to see a rival candidate garner a lot of votes. it will be an indictment that Raila's influence is going down. So they allow all the asset, including the claim of rigging, so that if you get, let's say, 30,000, they'll say, yakuibwa tu. Otherwise, the people didn't vote for Kunde. I know chances are that ODM will win.
So this is being said to cushion the argument after the fact?
Yes, that whatever votes you get, if it is more than 5,000, then hiyo ni ya kuibwa tu. Jacob is still in charge. That would be part of the fundamental problem. But whenever there is competition, there's always friction. You see it in football, you see it in churches, you see it everywhere. Okay? And again, when you go to Homa Bay, some constituencies in Homa Bay are prone to violence. If you look at the history of Rangwe constituency, even I know of a candidate who had lost his life because of violence. So skirmishes here and there are expected. But we have added fodder to the fire by punching the umpire, the IEBC. Imetwangwa mpaka now it looks like a partisan IEBC. Imetwangwa na code mpaka you just can't trust IEBC. Yet they've done a good job under difficult circumstances. If you are found with guns and whatever, that's a police case. Someone should have been arrested, the hotels should have been closed. People should be sweating somewhere under the basement. But again, visiting that on IBC, it weakens our institution. And you leaders, therefore, must know that in order for us to have strong institutions, we must build them by supporting them. We cannot go for elections rigging. Even when it comes and they have done well, we can't say you have done well today. Congratulations.
Yeah, but surely there must be a balance between, yes, supporting on one hand, but also holding them to account. How do you do that without, as he said, bashing an institution so badly that no matter what they do, everyone is looking at it with skepticism? On the other hand, still holding them to account.
First and foremost, before I come to that, let me also agree with the CIC chair. Because I have spoken about the culture of political violence in this country, which goes almost unabated. When I even was running for elections in Mombasa, there were some of our rival candidates and camps that undertook unabated instances of impunity. And even to a point where it almost scarred my confidence with some of the candidacies that we had even at other levels. So I think what happens is there's this issue where people feel they have a monopoly of violence over others, particularly private people, not even the monopoly that we usually regularize through the police. And therefore, you ask yourself, how is it possible for this gang of people, the group of people, to go and beat up another group of people in broad daylight, and everybody can see it, and no action is taken by any person in the police hierarchy or even the IBC itself? And as I said, sometimes it is overwhelming. Sometimes it might not be the fault of IBC as a standalone, because also parties have internal mechanism. But we have legitimized it, and we find it's a legitimate way of doing business. Okay. And I think unless we deal with it very firmly, and I can tell you, whenever you find a candidate who pursues those kinds of strategies, you will realize that he has no issues to articulate. And so to cloud those issues, you tend to play what is called hard tactics. But then secondly, in fact, that's a difficult pontifical point of view to take in terms of how you can hold one to account without necessarily appearing to raise some of those issues on a platform. Because I think what happens, accountability can be done multifold. I can decide when I am sure that if I sneak a letter or two to the CIC, and that's part of the confidence I will have, for instance, the CIC, that I can ask them a question in writing, and they will respond to my queries. Or even to a point where maybe I might not just be satisfied and ask a further question and a further questions. When institutions create such an organizational culture, then you find that people are at ease even asking them some of these audit queries or some of these accountability questions, even out of camera. But when the issues escalate to a point where you feel there's almost an institution is impervious to respond to some of the allegations against itself in a credible way. Like if I were IBC, by now I should be responding to the chicken, what is it called, chicken gate or whatever it is, because there are implications, and even to just I remember a few.
But the IBC chair responded.
But in a manner that is firm. You see, you have been implicated. You've been implicated, and therefore, if you look at one of our ethos in the KNCHR when I was a commissioner myself, we took it upon ourselves to respond to public concerns. Whenever there was a public concerns, that particularly that touches on the credibility of an institution, then you have to come about it, because the only thing you have, as a commission is credibility.
Sorry, yeah, the microphone there is a little bit faulty.
For instance, if I talk about the Chai Commission, we like to call them by the name of their chair. One of the credibility re-energization they gave me is by saying they are not going to seek an extension. Most commissions would be starting to say, how are we going to extend our time almost indefinitely, and ask other people every year, ask for another year. That in itself compromises their own capacity to be objective, because if I'm going to seek from a member of parliament an extension in the long term or in the short term, then I cannot be objective. So I think what happens, public institutions, I'll tell you, if the only fodder, because they don't have political constituencies that they were elected from directly, the only fodder they have is public credibility. And I've said commissions need public capital in terms of their ability to manage their affairs, and more so such a strategic or a very central institution like the IBC, which is charged with the management of our election affairs.
All right, Bwana Chairman, do you see, what do you think is the way forward when it comes to this issue of having the IEBC at least do a job that looks credible and is credible?
Yeah, I personally, and as CIC, respect the work that IEBC does. We don't have, or I don't have any major issue with what IEBC does. What I have consistently, or we have consistently tried to persuade IEBC is actually precisely what the senator says, that, you know, the people of Kenya must know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and involve them in that process, because very often you will get condemned largely because people don't know what you're doing, or you have failed or refused to engage with them. And our own experience as a commission has been such that, I mean, not everybody needs to agree with what we are saying or what we are doing, but at least we put it there in the
public domain.
Yeah, and I think that if there is one thing, and I'm saying it on national television, having said it several times directly to IEBC, if there is one thing I would encourage them to do, which I think would solve half their problems in terms of perception, other than perhaps, you know, there will always be diehard. If you're an umpire of any kind of competition, there will always be the diehards who will feel that if they lost because you did not umpire properly. Yeah. But I believe that even when you have a competition, even on the side of the losers, whoever they are, you can conduct yourself in such a way that the vast majority of the reasonable people will appreciate that because they got the full information, that you did what you are required to do. And any competition must have a winner and a loser. So that would be my advice.
Take on that.
Yeah.
All right.